We're going to be starting off with the main reason you guys are here today. It's in the thumbnail, it's the title, and I want to talk about it. The main topic is Julius Randle at the 5 next season. Now, this is something that a lot of people have been talking about, Ron, and, I've spoken about it a couple of years ago. Now, that's when I thought it was more of a possibility. Now, I don't think it's a possibility as much anymore, but funny enough, The Athletic's John Holinger recently spoke about Julius Randle and his role on the Knicks, and as they were talking about potential centers that they could target at the trade deadline, he threw out something, and what he basically said was, and finally, let me offer one other candidate. If this idea would make Thibodeau deeply uncomfortable, but who cares? He's still going to say it anyways. Julius Randle at the 5. Now, Randle at the 5 for me poses a lot of concerns, and I can also see some benefits to it. But before I give my take, before you give your take as well, let's hear what Holinger has to say on it. So he states Randle playing center means less rim protection, but you do know what makes rim protection a hint less important, not allowing anyone to get to the paint to begin with. The Knicks now have Bridges to man smaller perimeter players and Anunoby to take on bigger ones. They can switch roles through a game, able to show elite players different looks on the same night. Their point of attack defense, as long as everyone is healthy, should be one of the best in the league. On the other side, the Knicks could feast with a lineup of Brunson, Bridges, Anunoby, Randle, and let's say Dante DiVincenzo. He continues further by stating, offensively, this unit could play at a torrid pace, especially if you're including Josh Hart in that game, pushing rebounds, pushing the floor, and defensively, they should be so solid on the perimeter that it lessens the need for the rim protection. Now, Holinger basically said after all of this, yes, I think this is at least something that the Knicks need to experiment with throughout the season, especially if Hart is in the game to alleviate some of those potential rebounding issues. Defensively, Anunoby might end up guarding the opposing 5, not Randle in some of those situations. But the lineup is the same regardless. So what they're basically saying is, in some situations, you definitely could have Randle play the 5, but it doesn't mean he's going to be guarding 5s. He can shift back to his 4. OG can shift to the 5. Mikal can shift to the 5. There's so many other players you could potentially put there if you want to run that small ball lineup out there. The only question is, will it work? Now, I have my opinion on it. Now, I have my own reservations on it. Before I give mine, I'd like to throw the floor to you and ask your questions. We obviously heard from John Holinger from The Athletic. He clearly believes that Randle at the 5 should be explored and experimented with this season. Now, you've watched the Knicks probably longer than I have, if not just as long. So you got to tell me, Randle at the 5? What are your thoughts on that?
That face, that's I know it's something that people, other people have said it and brought it up in the past few years that maybe that's something that Tom Thibodeau should explore. He has dabbled with it from time to time. You can tell he doesn't like it. Even I had Alan Hahn on the show 2 weeks ago, and even Alan brought it up and said that that's something that he thinks that Tibbs is going to try again this year. And he admitted once that it doesn't look like Tibbs likes it. So I'm kind of surprised by it. I can see the versatility and the flexibility that it gives the offense. As far as offensively, it's very dynamic, right? Defensively, it gets a little hairy, and the switching would have to happen with, like you said, a possibility of OG, dealing with the centers. But I don't love it. I think it's on a case-by-case basis. I could see how it could turn the Knicks into something really problematic for other teams, because really, with all the different positions of that you have to account for, with double teaming Brunson or trying to double team Randle, like you can't do it. And then when you have Mikal floating on the wing and OG floating on the other wing, you're in trouble. So I like it. I just don't know how great Tibbs is going to feel about it.
My take is maybe going to be not as shocking, but maybe more a little bit of a rant. Please, God help us. No. We're making a mistake if we're putting Randle at the 5. Listen, I get the benefits. I'm not saying I don't. I understand it. Randle at the 5 could pose problem for some smaller lineups. But the problem is, it's like doing anything with anybody else. Josh Hart can play the 4. Should he? People can play different roles. It's the fact if that is their premier role, the role they're supposed to play. Randle bully ball at the 4. If I'm telling you last season it was godly and we have a better roster this year to pair him with, What is it going to be this year? Why would you ever want to go away from that? There's a reason the Knicks are looking at backup bigs because they understand Randle at the 5 would not be the answer. Mitchell Robinson at the 5 clearly is not the answer. Jericho Sims doesn't have enough faith at the backup 5 to have the answer. Preston Achiuwa is too small at 6'8" to be the backup, even though he might play those minutes. So what are the Knicks going to do? You can't supplement Randle in there and think somebody else is going to help you play forward. Who's going to do that? You're going to leave a hole there. And yes, I understand. Maybe the defense stops people from getting in. Those are certain teams. You think you're going to stop the Celtics from getting in? You're not going to stop the Celtics from getting in. There are certain teams you can't stop. So you can't play that lineup against those type of teams. And here's the thing. If you couldn't play that lineup against the best teams in the league, why would you play it against anyone else? Why would you try it out if it's not going to work against the best teams in the league? If it's not going to work against the Celtics, and a lineup like that potentially is what you want to use in the postseason, then my question is, why do you do it in the first place? I understand Hollinger's point here about trying and experimenting when you don't have enough at that position. But here's the thing. We actually do have enough. And with our MLE, we can still sign somebody else. I hate the fact that we think we have to play Randle there because we're devoid of talent there. We have talent there. We're just afraid to play the talent there because we don't know if it's going to survive till January when we can make the trade for whoever the center is going to be at the trade deadline. But that's the whole thing. We're making moves now, not because we feel the need to make these moves because it's a smart decision to make at this time. Maybe they are, but it's more so because we're biding our time. We understand what the situation is. We need another backup 5. We don't have one. We're going to ride off to the sunset until we can make that move. And the only time you're going to do that is on December 15th when Preston Achiuwa is ready and available to be traded. So I don't see another reason why the Knicks would ever make a move to Randle at the 5. Thibs has never done it, to your point. It'd be a shift in thinking. It defensively, it's ridiculously dull. It doesn't make any sense to do this defensively. And for Tom Thibodeau, if your goal is to have the best lineup out there, then you'll never, ever see Randle at the 5 because it would never make sense. It would never, ever be called the best lineup out there if Randle's playing the 5. If that's happening, Ron, there has to be a number of issues that have forced that situation to happen. So, that's how I
think
see it.
That's fair. I mean, it could be the only way I could see it possibly is maybe if they are playing a team that is playing small ball, like seriously small ball. Sometimes the Orlando Magic showed us a real small lineup, or maybe some team of that nature that maybe I could see it there. You definitely wouldn't want to do this against a team with a true center, a 7-footer.
No,
like
way.
I don't see why you would do that. Yeah.
No, it doesn't make any sense. Personally, for me, it makes no sense to me. In order to use Randle in that way, you lessen his abilities, and because of the fact that he plays center, he's going to have to think about different things. You're going to change his mindset. You change his mindset, he's already focused on a couple of things. You don't want to change any. You want the game to be as easy as possible for your players. You don't want them to even think. It just should be read and react. You can't read and react properly if you're not playing your right role. You can't. It's impossible. I don't care who you are. You're not a center. You can't read and react like a center would. So I get the whole thing from Hollinger here, but in my opinion, it would be a horrible move. It would be a terrible move, Ron. I would hate the move. But if they did it, I guess I could understand it, trying to experiment and things like that. It just would not be a move that I would want to go too fast. If you enjoyed these clips from Knicks Live, be sure to hit that subscribe button and turn notifications on, so that way you never miss a new episode of Knicks Live. Thanks for watching, Knicks fans, and until next time, peace.